Thank you for your interest in the Durham County Transit Plan Update. This project has been a team effort between many different agencies working together. The adopting agencies that will be voting to adopt the final plan are Durham Chapel Hill Carrboro, DCHC, Metropolitan Planning Organization, Durham County, and Go Triangle Board of Trustees. The other partner agencies that have been a part of this process are the City of Durham and Go Durham. In this presentation, we will talk about where we are in the Durham Transit Plan process. We will review what the Durham County Transit Plan is, what has been done so far, what projects are underway, what projects are recommended, what is planned first, what is proposed in the next 5 years, how to participate, what is next, and plan implementation. If you have not been a part of the process so far, you may be wondering, what is the Durham County Transit Plan? The Durham Transit Plan is an investment plan for the public transportation or transit system in Durham County. The plan will decide how we invest, spend, expand, and prioritize our public transit system using the Durham County sales tax and fee revenues. In 2011, Durham County voters approved a half-cent sales tax to fund public transportation improvements in the county. The Transit Plan update is required by state law to determine how to use the transit sales tax funds over the next 20 years through 2040. While this plan is extremely important, it does not include all transit or transportation revenues in Durham County. The planning process for the Durham Transit Plan began in fall 2019. The process started by establishing goals and objectives. These goals were created using input from the listening and learning sessions. The next step was understanding the existing conditions in Durham County. The third step involved creating different transit options based on public input and data analysis. During this phase of our process, stakeholders and members of the public reviewed the different transit options and gave feedback. Based on this feedback, the recommended transit plan was created and is now being shared as part of this phase of the project. The final step of the Durham Transit Plan is creating a final report and presenting to the Durham County Commissioners, Durham Chapel Hill Carrboro Metropolitan Planning Organization Board, and the Go Triangle Board of Trustees for adoption in late 2022. As you may know, there are multiple planning efforts, both locally and regionally, that plan for the future of transit in our region. The type of plan depends on how far out into the future recommendations are considered, also known as the planning horizon. At the county level, the work program focuses on the immediate projects that will be implemented in the upcoming year, which means they have a 12-month horizon. The Durham Bus Plan acts as the framework for how Go Durham and Go Triangle will develop and implement transit services in the next 3 to 5 years. Each county must also consider the long-term vision for their transit system. The Durham County Transit Plan identifies the transit projects that are planned for the next 20 years. DCHC also develops a Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP. The MTP will identify the highway, public transportation, bicycle, pedestrian, and other transportation projects that the region plans to implement over the next 25 to 30 years to meet the MPO's goals. With a variety of plans to maintain, it is expected that a lot of them will overlap. While these are not all of the planning efforts that are currently ongoing, it is important to note that these are the various plans focused specifically on transit projects in Durham that are currently underway. For example, the commuter rail feasibility study considers if and when a commuter rail should be built between Wake and Durham counties. The ongoing bus stop improvements are currently being built and will continue until all improvements are completed. The Durham Transit Plan is only one part of transit planning in Durham County. There are multiple funding sources for transit projects in Durham. The Durham County Transit Plan includes projects funded using the dedicated transit sales tax and fee revenues and federal funding. Other transportation and transit projects in Durham outside of the transit plan include other funding sources such as federal, state, City of Durham, and Go Triangle. All of these projects together make up the future of transportation in Durham. Now let's talk about the financial breakdown of the transit sales tax and fees. The total amount of transit sales tax and fees spent between 2011 and 2021 is approximately $173 million. A large part of that was the Durham County share of the Durham Orange Light Rail project. This cost of about $126 million was included in the total amount spent between 2011 and 2021. Going forward, the approximate amount that will be used to fund the recommended transit plan in the plan between now and 2040 is around $1.13 billion. So, what has been done so far? Here are a few examples of what the transit sales tax and fees have been used for. 90 bus stops have been improved, with 28 currently undergoing construction. 6 new electric vehicles have been ordered for Go Durham. 46 miles of bus routes have been upgraded to 15-minute service, and an additional 101 miles of bus routes have been upgraded to 30-minute service. Now that we've talked about what has been done, let's look at what projects are currently underway. One of these is the Durham Station Improvements Project. This project will include upgrading the existing Durham station with things like additional shade and weather protection, restrooms on the bus island, additional seating, a customer service station, and additional bus boarding bays. Durham Station was recently awarded $10.8 million in federal funding for this project, and construction is planned to begin next year. The Go Durham Better Bus project is underway, which will improve bus stop access, streets, and sidewalks to provide safe access to bus stops, enhance comfort at bus stops, and improve bus service along Fayetteville Street, where the Route 5 operates, Holloway Street corridor to the Village Transit Center along Route 3, and on the streets near Durham Station. The Go Durham bus stop improvements have been underway since 2018. Approximately 75 bus stops are scheduled for improvements annually. Go Durham is working closely with Go Triangle and the City of Durham to continuously improve our bus stops by providing things like accessible landing pads, new shelters, benches, sidewalk connections, bike racks, trash cans, and lighting. The bus stop improvement process can take anywhere between 12 to 18 months per stop, depending on the type of improvements. Another project currently happening is the Greater Triangle Commuter Rail Planning Study. The benefits of a potential commuter rail project include providing a quick and reliable commute option connecting Durham, Morrisville, Cary, Raleigh, Garner, and potentially Clayton. The regional study partners will decide whether and how to advance the commuter rail planning study, likely after the Durham Transit Plan is adopted. Now that we've reviewed what has been done and what is currently happening, what projects are recommended to be in the plan? Members of the community provided input on what kinds of projects they would like to see included in the recommended transit plan. The recommended transit plan is a bundle of projects that was created by combining these public priorities and technical analysis. The key themes from the public outreach used to craft the recommended transit plan include the following priorities: improving the current bus system, more transit projects sooner, connecting the region with quick and reliable service, and better experiences at bus stops and stations. To ensure that the recommended transit plan was responsive to these priorities, several types of projects are included that address these 4 major themes. Improvements to the current system include 30-minute and 15-minute bus service, later and weekend service, and additional crosstown routes. The public also wanted to see more projects happen sooner, so in the first year there will be bus stop improvements and Go Durham and Go Triangle paratransit service. New Go Durham Connect or microtransit service is funded in the first 5 years. To connect a region with quick and reliable service, the plan includes the study for proposed commuter rail between Durham and Wake counties, improvements for on-time performance of buses, and transit signal priority for buses. To create better experiences at bus stops and stations, the plan includes continued bus improvements, better access to bus stops, and improvements at transit centers. The projects included in the recommended transit plan were grouped into buckets based on public priorities from previous phases of public outreach. The following slides show in more detail what is included in each bucket. These slides do not include all projects in each bucket. Instead, they just highlight a few. Compared to the 2017 Durham Transit Plan, the 2022 Transit Plan includes much more funding for bus service. Enhanced and extended bus service makes up almost 1/3 of the total amount of money being spent on transit projects in Durham County from 2022 to 2040. This category of improvements includes all Go Durham routes being upgraded to come every 30 minutes or better, enhancing Route 4 and Route 9 to run every 15 minutes, extending Route 9A, 9B service to midnight on weekdays, and additional frequency on Route 3 and Route 9. Just to name a few. The commuter rail bucket represents Durham County's financial contribution to build and begin running the commuter rail between Durham County and Wake County. The project's details, overall funding plan, and schedule for implementation are not yet determined. A feasibility study evaluating the potential for this project is underway, and when the study is complete, local partners in Durham, Wake, and Johnston counties will decide whether and how to proceed with project implementation. Bus stop improvements and transit centers will continue to improve Durham's bus stops, as well as enhance existing transit centers. It also includes the bus transit corridor projects, as well as others shown on this slide, and more. More routes going more places includes projects to extend existing routes to go further, new crosstown routes to go more places, and creates Go Durham Connect micro-transit zones. Administration and accountability includes staff positions to administer the transit plan, equitable contracting, and transit-oriented development efforts. Operations and maintenance allocates funds for bus maintenance facilities, additional bus purchases and replacements, and new electric buses. Faster, more reliable bus service includes a study for potential bus rapid transit or bus speed and reliability infrastructure and projects to help buses stay on schedule, such as traffic signal improvements, bus-only lanes, and adjustments to bus stop spacing. Finally, paratransit improvements include Go Triangle and Go Durham paratransit or access service expansions, food access for senior shuttle, and a Go Durham access study. The Durham Transit Plan commits 4 times more money for paratransit service than is currently being funded. In the next 12 months, there will already be several projects moving forward, including a new crosstown service from Duke Regional Hospital to Duke VA Medical Center, route enhancements to run buses more often and later at night, paratransit and microtransit services, and bus stop improvements. Over the next 5 years, we can expect to see even more projects being completed. The projects shown on this slide represent only a few of those that will be moving forward. In fact, over 70% of the transit projects in the Durham County Transit Plan will be implemented within the first 5 years by 2027. The recommended transit plan includes $151 million of new transit projects in Durham County before 2027. So, what are our next steps? If you would like to learn more about the Durham Transit Plan and get project updates, use the link to the website on this slide. To provide your input on the recommended transit plan, please take the online survey by following the link provided at the bottom of this slide or scanning the QR code. After we have wrapped up this round of public outreach, we will be documenting this planning process and incorporating public feedback into the final Durham County Transit Plan. Other ongoing planning efforts will also move toward adoption and implementation, such as the Transit Plan Governance Study. The final plan will go to the Durham County Commissioners, the Durham Chapel Hill Carrboro Metropolitan Planning Organization Board, and the Go Triangle Board of Trustees for adoption. And then the Durham County Transit Plan will have been adopted. Going forward, the implementation of the Durham Transit Plan will continue to be monitored, updated, and tracked to ensure projects are being completed and to make any needed updates. More details will be developed regarding specific projects included in the plan through efforts such as the Durham Bus Plan and the Greater Triangle Commuter Rail Planning Study. Thank you again for your interest in the Durham County Transit Plan update.